Regal Movie Masters. Unlimited.
This is the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited podcast where we indiscriminately watch every goddamn movie that comes out at the local theaters. Your movie masters today are Justine.
Hi.
Brent.
Hello.
Dylan.
What's up?
And I am Colin. We say every goddamn movie, and let me tell you, we got a stack bill. We got 7 of them for you today. I'll rattle them off in the order they shall be covered. We got How to Blow Up a Pipeline, Renfield, Renfield, Nefarious, The Pope's Exorcist, Paint, Mafia Mamma, and Sweetwater. Before we get started, I'd like to address some emails. I already answered one. The header just says Nefarious.
Oh, no.
The subject says, I hope some of you see this movie. Can't wait for the next episode. Well, my friend, your time has arrived. That's some foreshadowing. We had an email regarding watching some maybe mini marathons, I think would be accurate. This gentleman is saying he suggests the entire run of the Coen brothers movies, which is daunting because I think I talked about maybe the last one I saw, which there's one, it's not Man Who Stares at Goats. There's another one that I confused with that I forget the name of. But anyways, basically I have a good 10 to 15 years of not watching any Coen brothers movies, so I need to get up to date on that. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I haven't seen any for a long time. Even then, there's still some that some holes that I missed.
Question for you, by inserting these into the proverbial hat, does that put us at a number where we're going to do something yet?
It doesn't yet. This person also suggests like other filmmakers, LeMay or Friedkin, who have kind of like, mixed bags of a catalog or one franchise. It says Puppet Master and Hellraiser.
Ooh.
Whoa.
No.
They have to go in. They've got suggested.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I've never seen a Hellraiser movie. How about that?
What the? Well, you're serious?
Never.
Didn't you watch the new one?
Not interested.
You didn't watch a Hellraiser movie?
Nope, not a single one.
That's fucking weird, bro.
Yeah.
Why is that weird?
Because of, I don't know. The first two are legit, like, iconic. The first Hellraiser movie is probably in, like, my top 10 horror movies.
Okay.
That's like...
Throw it in the hat?
That's a 10 out of 10 film. The problem is, and this is the challenge, they quickly go from being one of the best, coolest series to legitimately just unwatchable.
Oh, so it's a horror franchise is what you're telling me.
It's a horror, but there's horror franchises that you can kind of like have legs. Like, I don't know, Friday the 13th gets a little silly and repetitive.
Sure.
But it doesn't get awful. Those Hellraiser movies get awful.
Okay.
And that's why I don't know. That's just the thing. Do you pick them randomly or do you say, this is the week, we're going to stretch them all out? Do you either pick a random ass Coen Brothers movie to watch or do you watch them in a row sequentially? I think you'd have to say sequentially.
Yeah.
But if we throw them in a pot and pick them out, we're not there yet. We're not at a point where we're there yet. We're going to
moviemasters760@gmail.com. Send a bunch of suggestions because I want to see where this is going.
It's dependent on viewability.
So if he's throwing Friedkin in there, Hellraiser, and what else?
Every Coen Brothers movie or Puppet Master. Puppet Master gets bonkers.
Puppet Master, okay.
Puppet Master I feel is almost more respectable because it doesn't start at some dizzying height of accomplishment.
Stays more level.
Yeah, the full moon pictures are nothing if not consistent. But listen, with the emails, we have them. We're cataloging them. Oh. I think we'll sort that out. Our final email from a regular listener, who I'm always happy to hear from. I'll read word for word because this is a wordsmith we're talking about here. Dear Movie Masters, I've just gotten caught up on the recent episodes. I'd just like to comment on a topic from a couple weeks ago when you guys discussed formative movies from childhood. It's too bad that no one from the Movie Masters male contingent got on board with Transformers, the movie. Animated robots shooting and killing each other with laser guns, an epic hero's journey, and pop heavy metal. This movie hit home for me at the time, and it holds up even now. Please watch or rewatch. It may be therapeutic. Now, I will say, who watched this in the theater recently?
We didn't we?
Yeah. Dylan, were you there for it?
I wasn't there for that.
Okay.
I was at work.
Yeah, we there was a showing in the theater of this
35th
film.
anniversary, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it is. I was not a viewer of that growing up.
Yeah.
Missed out on that on my childhood.
I'm ashamed that I forgot about it because it is a really, really cool movie, and there's specifically a part when like Omicron
Yes.
is
Yeah.
in space, and he's like recreating the Decepticons to be like their new form.
Yeah.
And I would think about that scene all the time. It's so cool, and he has like a really cool voice and stuff. It's a really creepy movie,
Yeah.
which I think is really cool for, again, like that era of kids movies. They're
Right.
just like
Super
really
heavy.
creepy.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about this was that like there are a lot of creepy movies that are kind of fantasy, and this was like a creepy sci-fi like robot
Right.
movie for kids. That's what made it stand out. I agree.
And is it Weird Al's Dare to Be Stupid in the
Yeah.
Yeah. They do a silly dance, and then Weird Al's Dare to Be Stupid is on. It's a banger.
Oh, yes.
And I believe the pop metal band is Kick Axe, but they had to change their name because Kick Axe is too, controversial. Too hot for a kid's thing. I forgot what they performed under. Also, a silly rare record, the Transformers soundtrack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you won't find it all. I've had one copy that has come through the shop, and there was a fight breaking out over who got to get it.
Oh,
like
wow.
a new,
It was savage.
like a
No, like-
anniversary thing, like a remake?
No, like the OG pressing.
Really?
Yeah, it's like somewhere between like $80 and $100. It's a really, really hard to find record. And of course, signing off. This respectable viewer says, "Thanks for the rundown on the Zach Barf movie. Sounds so shitty. I might have to give it a fast forward assisted watch one day. It is very bad. If you know, me and Justine say it's bad. You know it's pretty bad.
It's very bad.
But
ba weep grana meep nini bong.
there we go. Remember that. Words to live by. What do they? They say that, and then they say that, and then
The little
they
shark
become
guys,
cool because
they've been like sent into with the piranha robots,
right.
and then they say that, and then the piranha robots are like, "Oh no, they're cool."
It's a phrase to remember. So we're gonna start this marathon of films off. I don't know why. Why are there so many movies coming out right now?
I looked at it. I couldn't find anything.
It's- Because there was a weekend, the Easter weekend, but that was like Mario just took that over. So I don't know what they're into now. Maybe they just didn't want to put it out.
Maybe they're just throwing everything that they can to see if anything can take some of the market share away from Mario, but it's not working
Yeah.
at all. Like all the movies combined are like less than 10% of what Mario is still doing right now in
Yeah.
the second week. Yeah.
I mean, the smart thing to do, I think, is to release like the opposite of that kind of
Yes.
movie.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't want to watch Super Mario Brothers, there's a movie called How to Blow Up a Pipeline, which you will not want to bring kids to watch because I don't think they'll be very interested in it.
They'll
Or
be
they might be
too
too interested. Yeah. She got.
So this is an adaptation of a book. It's directed by Daniel Goldhaber, and it was co-written by the girl who played Zoshi in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So interesting.
And Michael was in the movie was the producer, one of the producers.
So this is an ensemble cast who comes together to, as the title suggests, blow up a pipeline. They're,
They're like a bunch of young adults.
right, who are sick to death for various reasons,
Mm-hmm.
personal to them, of, the ecological nightmare that the fossil fuel industry has inflicted on the world. And they're sick of doing whatever little activist stuff they have in their own spheres. And they're like, let's
Do something big.
direct action, baby. And so they get together to blow up a pipeline. And it's a great movie, I thought. I'm trying to remember, I was trying to think if it's follows the beats and the pacing of a heist movie or a revenge movie.
More heist, I would say.
Right.
Because one of the funniest reviews I saw of it was it just said based Ocean's 11.
Yeah. And it's very much so. Well, it doesn't have the we're putting together a team part where it's like we need a specialist in all these fields. They do a thing I normally hate in movies, which is they're showing you action happening and then they're like, this guy's story.
Yeah.
And then they flash back.
Yeah.
I usually dislike that, but in this movie, it makes perfect sense
Yeah.
because whereas the flashback thing usually just kind of disrupts action or stretches it out, you see it's really annoying in shows, I think. That's how they pad out,
Yeah.
X amount of episodes is by showing you the father and how he didn't like the kid and blah, 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 blah. But in this movie, I think they do a pretty tight job of showing everyone's motivation to be involved in something so severe and why they would risk, endangering their lives over committing an act of eco-terror. And in that sense, it does have kind of a revenge movie plot because they are all people who have been wronged, not by this company specifically, but just by fossil fuels, climate change, whatever you want to call it. And I think it serves a dual purpose of showing how each person has motivation, but also why this isn't such a singular issue, how it isn't just like they displaced me, or one of the characters, he is being displaced by this pipeline specifically. So why he's in it, but just all of the problems that make this ecological nightmare we're living in presently harm to everyone, and in that sense, I think it's so much more effective than they're trying to rip off a bank, they're trying to steal an art piece or whatever it is. It brings the viewer into it as well.
Because it's not for personal gain, it's for everybody's game, from their philosophical perspective.
Yeah, it's to personal detriment, if anything. That's also
100%.
why it's the difference between this and a heist movie. Again, when I say heist movie, I'm saying just the pacing of it. And I think a lot of the tropes that you'll see in those kind of movies are present in here. They got to get this thing done and the time's running out, and it's very suspenseful. This is primarily, I think, a thriller.
It's the sweatiest movie of the year so far.
Yeah, sure. In terms of just your palms are sweating. You want them to achieve their goals. The clock's ticking, and they do so many good. This is why, the magic of film, right? Because they just introduce these little obstacles in the way of the group achieving their goals, and you, the viewer, just no, let them do it. I think there's probably a lot of people, maybe in my generation specifically, who just really romanticize eco-terror in general.
Did you ever get the Anarchist Cookbook?
Of course I got the Anarchist fucking cookbook.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of Earth First pamphlets were read, and I just grew up kind of romanticizing it. I don't know, blowing up fur factories and liberating animals and stuff. There's something just, I don't know, maybe I'm a weirdo or whatever. I don't think I am, though. I think it's kind of a lot of males specifically kind of look to that behavior as something that's just so thrilling and cool, even if intellectually you understand it's not necessarily productive, even this movie admits you blow up this pipeline, gas just goes up, you're just really hurting working people and you're not really changing anything. And that's all true, but it's exciting to see. It's more, I had more excitement watching them blow this thing up than the third Death Star or whatever.
Well, a couple of the characters, they outright stated that it's going to make prices for the working class go up, but it might also stimulate a much needed and overdue discussion about what we're going to do about this climate crisis.
Yeah, no, of course, either in the movie or real life, you can't be the poor oil industry.
No, I think this might be the perfect time to drop this movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's I was saying with showing everyone's background and why they're connected to blowing it up. You have an in as a viewer watching this, everyone can see themselves in one of the characters at least. Uh-huh. And if you can't, you can at least sympathize with them. And it's just such a perfect enemy, I think, because there's no big oil stands, if we're talking about I don't know, blowing up banks or whatever, there's someone watching it that's come on, man, I work at a bank, or whatever stupid industry you want to make an enemy, there's probably someone who likes them, except for the oil industry. I can't imagine. I mean, maybe oil barons themselves are upset, but I think it's such a well-crafted villain who, by the way, you never meet or see really. Yeah. All you see is this pipeline, which is, of course, just this representation of even the oil company. It's not really about the oil company. It's about the larger issue of, our relationship with the earth. And industrial society, I guess. So it's like, yeah, I don't know, a kind of perfect villain, and gives you perfect motivation for why you want to see the villain fail and the heroes, as the movie portrays them, win. And I don't know, it's just a wildly successful film, I thought.
Yep.
In achieving what it.
Yeah, and in just achieving its goals and making something that's entertaining. And even if the moral of the story or the message is a little too on the nose or like well tread, it's so effective, you know? I mean, environmentalism good, industry bad is about the most cliched movie trope you can think of, but it's so well done here. And it's all, I think, technique, you know, pacing and writing. I can't imagine I'll see a better script this year. That's what I was walking away from thinking. Is just like, God, this is well written. The dialogue all feels grounded. The characters all feel real.
The last mainstream movie that got attention for like kind of like like an eco angle, was it Aaron Brockovich, or is there anything between?
Avatar?
Yeah, Avatar.
Oh, yeah. That's more like the focus wasn't necessarily on
Yeah,
that.
it's also sci-fi. I'm trying to think. Yeah, we've watched a million movies where the moral is rich people bad. You know, that's something I'm kind of sick to death of seeing, partially because they don't really say anything other than, I'm a rich guy and I don't like people. I'm a tech guy and I love tech, and now a pie is getting thrown in my face. Like, it's just kind of flaccid or something. Whereas this movie is like, yeah, do this. This is very pointed and kind of, I don't know, scary.
I can't wait till it hits streaming, you know, because I think that's when the most amount of people are going to watch it. And then maybe there will be like an actual discourse about it, you know.
And if it was just, you know, preaching at you, I don't think it would be very interesting. It would just be a fucking video essay.
Does it preach in any capacity? I don't know if it does.
Yeah, and the fact that it doesn't feel like it is because, again, it's just, from a technical perspective, very well executed. Not boring, too, you know?
From the beginning, it's stressful. It stays stressful
Oh, yeah.
Right.
the entire time. Oh, and it has that music that's just like stressful music.
The pulsing synth stuff.
Yeah, the whole time. And I realized when I was watching it, what it feels like is the bank part of Dark Knight when all the Jokers are stealing money from the bank. It has the same music, has the same like pacing, and there's a group of people trying to do some stuff. So it feels like that, but for the whole movie. And I agree with the dialogue and with the script, I guess, because it really did feel like they were just talking. Like, there's not like movie setup stuff.
Right.
There's not like movie shots per se. It all just sort of seems like, I don't know, like reality TV or something like that, where you're just kind of catching snippets of these people's day and lives instead of, you know, feeling like you're in a scene.
Incidental footage or something.
Yeah.
Dylan, I didn't get to talk to you about this movie yet. You watched it away from us.
Yeah. You know, watched it alone, and I have to say, as an extreme like activist myself, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. I'm learning, as the movie suggests, and this is the weirdest fucking sequel to How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh.
All I kept thinking about while I was watching it. I literally did not know what this movie was.
I mean, this is not a movie you could say that about because you knew the title.
I know, but I sincerely was like, I don't know.
Wait, isn't there also like a How movie about how to lose a man in 30 days or something like that?
Yeah, see weird sequels.
Hey, what was the most suspenseful part for you, Dylan? Like, or what was the most like stressful part for you about this movie?
Probably the strapping on the bomb to the.
Oh, yeah, when they were like hoisting it.
Yeah.
Same answer.
Yeah, because I was like, God fucking damn it.
For me, it was like blasting caps. When the dudes in the shed, you just know because he's like, okay, first one's done. I'm going to the second. You're like, oh, so one of these is going to kind of malfunction or blow up because they're going to the second one. That was rough.
Yeah, and again, I think it's just all the way it's shot. You know, like they are able to show how insanely stressful it is to build bombs, which of course it is, and work with explosive materials, which of course it is.
Like in a shed.
As an amateur.
That's another thing that worked is in a lot of heist movies, everybody's perfect and they're smiling and they're grinning. They're not perfect. They are far from perfect. And like, they're like, look, he connected this way too loose. Well, get that candle and we'll try to like seal it that way.
And as for the strap scene that Dylan brought up, so they get these like straps and they have to strap a bomb to like a pipeline, if you haven't been paying attention. And at one point the thing snaps and the bomb falls, and all I was thinking is like, oh god damn it, they need another strap. But then they figure out that they could just tie the strap together. So it's not like I'm thinking about supplies, because it's like that detail oriented of a film where it's like, you need to have the certain amount of supplies, and if one of these fuses goes off and we don't have enough, or we didn't bring enough of this thing, then this whole plan is shot. And so I'm just like, no, the whole plan is going to be undone because they don't have another strap. But they figured something out, and it's like, it's a kind of intelligence that you as a viewer would hope you would have in that situation, you know? And yeah, like you're saying, Brent, it's not like, I'm the strap specialist. I've been strapping things for 20 years now. You show me a thing and I'll strap it for you for a cut of the score. It's not that. It's just like, I don't know. What do you fucking do when the goddamn strap breaks and you need one? Stressful. Overall, how to blow up a pipeline. Are we going to enlist in a group of ragtag eco-terrorists, or are we going to inform the feds? As for me, I'll join the team. You know, I like joining teams. Joining teams is fun, and yeah, obviously, a really good movie, very exciting movie, good movie. Justine?
It is a really good movie. It is a very exciting movie. It's a very tense movie. The acting was good. Everybody seemed like a normal person, and they all are like different kind of people you might know.
Yeah.
It's cool. And Irene Bedard is in it, and she was the voice of Pocahontas in the Disney movie, which is really cool. And yeah, I mean, watch the movie, read the book. I guess it's based on a book. Also read the Monkey Wrench Gang if you're into that sort of thing. Yeah.
Sometimes you add a movie to the watch list. Sometimes a movie adds you to a watch list. I'm fine being on a watch list because of this movie, most likely. I mean, it's probably gonna be like, one of the highest rated movies for me on the year. I didn't know what to expect, but yeah, the way they did it was really tight, and I enjoyed it a lot. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'll join the team. Sure.
Renfield is a movie by Chris McKay, who did what, Dylan?
You tell me, I have no idea.
He did Lego Batman and Moral Oral.
Oh, the show?
Yeah.
Dang.
This is Adult Swim Legends, but let's not shoot our load too quick because it's written by Robert Kirkman from Walking Dead and a lot of good comics, and Ryan Ridley, who is a writer of a chunk of Rick and Morty episodes. And it's very amusing to me that a bunch of comic and cartoon guys are responsible for this movie, because it's like a cartoon on screen. It's very bright and slapsticky, and it makes a lot of sense. Of course, Nicolas Cage in listen, there's lowercase Nicolas Cage performances, like Nicolas Cage getting a check, and there's like Nicolas Cage performances, and this is a motherfucking Nicolas goddamn Cage performance. He's letting you know who he is. He's Dracula. He's on screen for like 10 minutes. Doesn't matter. Still, he is the star of this movie. I don't give a shit. Nicholas Hoult and Awkwafina are in it, and so it's a story about Renfield, who is Dracula's little guy. Is familiar, and in the movie, Renfield is trying to come into his own as a person and not necessarily just be a little minion for Dracula, but kind of reconcile his morality versus what he's doing. And at the same time, there's a gang, a crime organization in New Orleans who he's tangling with, and that's where Awkwafina, the police officer, comes in. Sorry, but ACAB includes Awkwafina now. And yeah, they're wrestling about. It's very, very fun, very high energy, slapsticky, but like over the top violence. I don't know. What do you guys compare it with as far as tone goes?
Like Deadpool, honestly.
When I was watching it, I felt like it was everything from genre movies that just executed by people who have a little bit more panache. Kirkman and all those folks. I mean, it felt awesome the whole time. I was cheering. I was pumping my fists. I was like going, yes, like a lot. I felt like I was on a ride that I didn't want to get off.
Yeah, it is sensory overload kind of. I guess a lot of like the action scenes gave me some From Dusk Till Dawn energy.
For sure.
Robert Rodriguez, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that kind of high intensity.
Ultra violence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was sort of hard to watch this after getting deep into What We Do in Shadows.
Oh,
because it borrows a lot of that kind of, let me tell you the real stories about Dracula's. It's not what you've read in books and what they say on TV. I think that, I don't know, dismantling of Dracula lore sort of goes back to Lost Boys. I'll accept it if anyone wants to dismantle it further, but I think Lost Boys is the first one that's like, let me tell you the rules of Dracula's. And then, of course, Interview with a Vampire totally changes the game as far as, and I don't know what it is. There's something so interesting. I'll always be sold on, let me tell you what Dracula's are really like. But
even vampires in general.
No, Dracula's.
Okay. I was confused.
And yeah, What We Do in Shadows is like the king of that right now, I think. And it has that like horror mythology, but with very funny sitcom-y humor, you know? And this movie has a lot of that too. So that's the tone. But of course, then there's also really crazy over-the-top action scenes, and that I think distinguishes it. And ultimately, Nicolas Cage, I think, really elevates this. I mean, hey, if you're not a Cage head, I don't got time for you. And this is like him really loving the part and really just no trace of irony, throwing himself into it, doing monster movie monster stuff with, and another movie with kind of a blend of CG and practical effects. That seems to be a trend this year. Like all of the effects on Nicolas Cage are awesome. If him like, you know, as a half-formed Dracula and then coming back together, he's just in these really monstrous forms. It's so cool just to see good practical effects on screen. When there's like crazy blood, like people getting their arms ripped off and stuff like that, that's where the CG comes in. But hey, it's so like just fun and over the top. It's not like a real sticking point.
It works in the context of this movie.
Right. And I'm glad that we're at a point where there's a compromise with practical versus CG. If I'm being a little critical, I would say that there's a little too many threads going on in the film to make it, I don't know, more than entertaining. You got like the pop psychology thing, right? With the narcissistic abusers, of which is like very trendy. If you don't know about, look up narcissist on any social media platform and get ready for a lot.
It's like a support group.
Yes.
So Dracula as narcissist.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a fun idea.
Fun.
I love it.
A lot of fun.
And there's this crime syndicate versus police thing, which is, I don't really, not too interested in. I don't really know.
That was like a G plot, maybe.
Yeah. And then there's Renfield, who is like a narcissistic abuse survivor, and his relationship with Awkwafina, who's the cop who's involved in the thing. And that's felt a little extra. I don't know. I felt like there's just, I don't need it.
Yeah. It would have been a stronger movie if it had just been Renfield, like learning from his support group and standing up to Dracula while also being chased around by these gangsters. And then he would have to like stand up for himself, you know.
Right.
That would have been a regular kind of arc. Yeah. Instead, I don't know that he stands up for himself until there's a part where obviously it's like, I'm good enough. Punch.
Yeah.
That's the thing is I went in not watching this as a regular movie. You know, I didn't have any regular movie expectations whatsoever. In fact, I think the trailers did it a disservice because it looks like it's just going to be a horrible movie. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to go in and have fun. And then when I saw what they were doing, and I think it's the fact that they were trying to do so much that made it entertaining for me. I was like, you're going for that too? Well, great.
Right. And there's also like the layer of comedy over all of it, which there's a lot of funny people involved in it. I thought the comedy worked. It's like I said, I think a little bit of a, like more of a sitcom kind of comedy.
For sure.
Than like, you know, I don't know, something crazy over the top that dominates it. You can take the movie seriously as an action movie. Deadpool's a good comparison, I think, because that is a very fun over the top movie that also works as the genre it's working in. But it's still, again, I'm, looking at a movie where someone gets their arms ripped off and beaten with them is like, well, structurally, I don't know if this follows the hero's journey. Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, all of that, I think, it's all brought up by Nicolas Cage just fucking knocking it out of the park. And I'd forgive any problems with this movie if it was just for that performance.
Is the actor who played Renfield Nicholas Hoult?
Yes.
I loved him.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah. That was a big part of the movie for me. I liked that character, and I also just liked the performance.
Yeah.
Is this Nicolas Cage's third time playing a vampire?
I was thinking about that too.
Well, it sounds like you know the other two.
There's one where he sleeps with a girl, and then he's like freaking out about being a vampire.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what that one's called.
There's that scene where he's like the teeth, like he's struggling with the teeth as they're coming in.
Yeah, no, there's a movie where he buys like plastic teeth and he's running around the streets like
called like Once Bitten or something.
He's like screaming, "I'm a vampire!"
Yeah,
and it's like fucking Nicolas Cage at his finest. Then there's the other one, but I don't remember what it is. But maybe I'm just confusing it.
I think one of them's called Once Bitten, and the other one is
Vampire Kiss.
Vampire Kiss. Yeah.
Was he anyway? That's crazy, bro.
Yeah,
playing vampires.
Then again, he's also done probably hundreds of movies at this point.
That's true. Percentage-wise,
He could have like 8 more.
Yeah, this is the same he has the same Dracula to non-Dracula percentage ratio as almost any other actor at this point. You could do like 4 or 5 more. If you play enough movies, you could play Dracula a dozen times and you'll still be, less Draculas to non-Dracula roles than some people who just play Dracula once. But
Gary Oldman.
Yeah, see, Gary Oldman, that's a very normal Dracula to non-Dracula ratio. Mm-hmm. One movie and then all the other movies. But Nicolas Cage, do a couple more Draculas. You'll be at the same ratio as Gary Oldman. That's what I'm trying to get at here. I don't know if that's a very convoluted point I'm making.
Since you said that they were like Adult Swim people, that makes a lot more sense to me how this movie feels. I was thinking like, what's something that's kind of like over the top violent, like a Super Jail or something, where it's just like, here's just a bunch of violent, wacky stuff and some jokes that aren't that funny, but they're in there. Teenage boy sleepover sort of energy.
Well, there was that scene where Nicolas Cage is like, I turned myself into a pickle and pickled Dracula.
Yeah.
And then there was that huge like death scene around it. So I think that's like maybe what gives you the vibe.
For sure.
But again, overall, I think the takeaway here is fun. It's a fun, silly, fun movie.
Some pretty good like side characters.
Right.
I really like that. Like there's a son of the crime family. I thought he was really funny.
Yeah. As like the, what do you call it? Like the little Nepo baby gone wrong.
Yes. Yeah. And then the guy that's the leader of the support group. Really funny.
Really good performance.
Yeah, everyone was having a good time.
Yeah.
Anyone have anything else to add? All right, Renfield. Are you gonna get bitten, or are you bringing a clove of garlic and saying no to this movie? I'll say take that bite. Be a familiar, do some errands, do some tasks. As the tagline of this movie says, Renfield, get bit.
That's not the fucking tag.
I don't know. It's probably the tag. Just see what you think.
The whole part of the movie is trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, wait a minute. What are you
This
saying?
is the story of Renfield.
There's that part where he's like, dude, you got bit.
Yeah. And then
I guess he did
takes
say
a
that.
bite out of a hamburger.
Right. Dude, you're getting bit. And he bites the guy.
Kind of like Steve-O right there.
Trying to do the Carl's Jr. voice. Dude.
I get it.
You're getting bit.
I think Renfield has it pretty good. Just stick with Dracula. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the movie is a fun watch. You probably won't remember it in a little while, but it's still pretty fun. And I like that he goes to Old Navy to get normal boy clothes.
Gets a nice pair of New Balance 574s.
Yeah, level up.
I'll remember every frame of this movie for the rest of my life because I had such a fun time watching it just once. This is another movie that's going to be on my rewatch list as soon as it hits streaming. I had a great time, and I'm going to see if I have a great time at home as well.
Yeah, I liked the movie. It was good. I don't know if I want to be in the movie. Let's say they want us to get out of Dracula's power, so I guess I would be clear and I'll date Aquafina. It'd be cool.
Nobody gets turned into a vampire in this movie.
No, well, oh yeah, they get turned into familiars, I guess.
Yeah, no one's like
Dracula's.
an actual
People.
Dracula.
Kind of weird.
Question is Aquafina in other movies that I haven't seen that I need to watch?
She's in a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
But I don't know how to say it other than a bunch of stuff. She's like a artist. She makes music.
I know
a
that,
musician.
but I'm saying like, are there other movies I could watch? Because I thought she was great in this.
I don't know. You see Shang-Chi?
I haven't.
There you go.
She's in there.
Oh, okay.
And then she's in Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
She's in that.
Nefarious.
Duran Duran reference?
No.
Nefarious.
Oh, don't sully Duran Duran like that.
No, the Biggie
No.
version.
Yeah, the Biggie version.
Nefarious is a film, underline that, directed and written by Chuck Konzelman and Gary Solomon. If those names don't sound familiar to you, it's because you are a fucking Philistine and you haven't seen the goddamn God's Not Dead trilogy like a coward. If that doesn't tip you off, as a little bit of a Jesus-y movie, but it sneaks up on you. So it starts off very much like, I'd say the tone. There is like a genre of film or a style of film that is like directors who have only watched like Seven and Fight Club and like 12 other movies with Brad Pitt in the Requiem for a Dream. That level of like edgy 90s movie, like that's kind of their understanding of like what a serious movie is, and they want to recreate that, and it has that kind of tone to it. It's not a totally bad premise, right? This guy is on death row. He's getting visited by these analysts who are trying to determine if he's sane or insane, which seems like that would happen way earlier, but whatever. Movie, like, are we allowed to kill this guy or is he crazy? And the first shrink is like, I'm going to kill myself. I can't deal with this guy. And then the new guy comes in and we kind of focus on this new doctor, psychologist guy who's in here interviewing this serial killer guy who's on death row and is about to die in a day. Sure. And this doctor has to determine if he is sane or not. And the serial killer, the guy's whole thing is like, I'm a demon. He says that. And, all of my Tim and Eric heads started pumping their fists when they said the iconic line from the Adult Swim keeps giving this week. So he's a demon, and the psychologist guy's like, well, certainly that's not the case. And then the guy's like, no, I am a demon, and he's like starts telling them all this information about the doctor that only a demon could know, and it's an interrogation movie. It's like the Silence of the Lambs bits, but like stretched out, right? So I'll break it down the best way I could figure out how to. So you can I'm putting you in my shoes here. You're watching this movie. And it's like, okay, it's an edgy 90s kind of movie, like Vertigo Comics kind of like darkness and evil is real, and you're a non-believer, and you're in the trenches with this. And the demon guy's like, I think it's funny that before you leave here, you'll have killed 3 people. Like, boom. Okay, I'm in. I'm listening to this. And the doctor guy's like, no, that's not the case. And then the demon guy's like, well, you had your mom euthanized. And he's like, whoa, that was that was okay to do because legally
suicide.
It was assisted suicide because it's legal in my state. And he's like, ha, we demons love it when you kill people. And then you're like, okay, that's kind of so that's one murder.
Like, you said I would murder 3 before I leave.
Yeah, it's like, all right. And then the real twist is like, and your girlfriend's getting an abortion right now, isn't she? And
that's when, if you had any doubt before, you know where this is headed.
And I swear he starts talking about sacrificing babies to Moloch and like how abortion clinics are the same as these altars, but the doctors wear surgical masks. So you think it's okay to, sacrifice these babies. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a Jesus movie. And then that's like kind of the Rubicon of which you pass as a viewer. And you're like, oh, I'm watching a Jesus movie, aren't I? And then it keeps going. And it basically, the demon is just the writer gets to be the voice for everything that the writer doesn't like in the world. He's like, oh, you people and your pride in your ways. We love that. We're demons. We're taking over. And so the doctor guy's like, well, explain to me how demon possession works, because I don't believe it. And well, it starts simple. And I don't know. I thought the actual stuff about how to be possessed by a demon was kind of cool. Some of the demon lore in this movie is cool.
There's a lot of demon lore. That's cool. And yeah, a lot of really funny. It's funny.
Oh, for sure.
Like how he's describing this stuff. And it's so like edgelordy where it's like, oh, that's cool. We like it when you do that.
Yeah.
He definitely has parts where it's like, it hurts, but we like it when it hurts. It's like that Rick and Morty episode where it's like the Cenobites are like, we hate it, which means we love it.
Yeah. And so it eventually, not to spoil this fine film for you, but the doctor guy's like, well, I say he's like, stressed out because he realizes that if this demon doesn't die, that he's going to get him. And the demon wants him to write a book about how cool demons are. And how demons need to take over the world, and this will be his dark gospel that will, convert people when they read the book. Okay, so the doctor guy's like, oh, I need to kill this demon guy, so he signs off to get the demon guy executed. And then the demon is like, ha, that's your third murder. I was right. So it's, for being, Christian propaganda, it's at least consistent in being like, very anti-death penalty. He talks a lot about how inhumane the electric chair is and stuff like that, which is like, all right, at least you're on message or whatever. But I would compare it to like a Jack Chick tract, those little comics that you would get that were just had insane messages about like, if you play D&D, you'll go to hell. Like, I don't know. Full disclosure, I really like kooky Christian stuff. Like your average Christian movie is very much like, I want to pray in school. No, you can't. I'm the principal and my mom died and that's how I know God isn't real. And he has to be converted. And that's kind of bland. I'm not opposed to them, but it's, so well tread. This shit is some other stuff. This is someone going off-road. This guy has gone rogue in his messaging, both of their messaging, I guess, the writer and the director. And I don't know. I'd be lying if I said I didn't really enjoy just seeing an insane person just say crazy stuff as a demon about, how messed up society is and everything. By the end of the movie, Glenn Beck is involved. As himself, the psychologist guy is like, okay, so the demon wrote a book for him, like a manuscript. And he got the manuscript is in the hands of the psychologist guy who's going to publish it under his name. Like, and this is going to convert the world. But the psychologist guy says, no, I did publish it, but I published it in a way to say, like, don't do this. It's really convoluted. And he's on the Glenn Beck show promoting this book. And Glenn Beck's like, well, it's interesting that a non-believer would have run-ins with this stuff. That's how nuts this is. Okay, so the guy gets possessed by the demon. When the demon is getting executed, he's in the room with him. And the demon guy escapes the body of the serial killer and goes into the psychologist's body. The psychologist takes a gun off of a cop who's there with a gun for some reason and tries to shoot himself 3 times, but the gun fails because he prayed to God in the last minute.
Or because the demon was like, see, I could have done it, but I didn't.
Yeah, who knows? And at the end on the Glenn Beck show, when he's being interviewed, he's like, Glenn Beck's like, so you believe in demons and God and stuff? He's like, I don't know.
Literally was possessed by a demon. Heard the demon in his head because we hear the demon talk too. It's like, whatever your name is, now I'm in you. And then he pulls the gun and they're like, put the gun down. I can't. It's not me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if demons are real.
I'm 50-50. Yeah. He wrote and read a manifesto written by, oh wait, no, he's got a name in it. Damn it. What was the demon's name? No.
Nefarious, bro.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Nefarious was him. Ozymandias is the other one. The other demon possession movie that we saw this week.
Yeah.
And so, he hung out with Nefarious, read his whole manifesto, and is like, I'm undecided, uncertain about my theology at this point.
He was even like, how did he know my girlfriend was pregnant? I don't know. Not sure about demons.
The facts are still out.
Yeah.
Teach the controversy.
I'm sure.
I was telling a friend of mine about this, and he was saying, you know what this reminds me of? This is my buddy talking to me. He's like, we went to it was Halloween once when we were young. We're like, oh, there's like a free haunted house in San Marcos, like a local a nearby city. Let's go there. And it was one of those Christian haunted houses. I was like, that's what this is.
Oh, where they get you.
Yeah, where they're like, welcome to the horror of what'll happen if you don't accept Christ as your personal savior. And then kids go in and they show you hell and abortions and all that. There's a whole world of Christian haunted houses.
They showed you abortions
In haunted houses? In Christian haunted houses?
They, like when you went.
There's like documentaries about it too. Like they're called what are they called?
It's something very specific. It's a horror house or
It's something like that.
Hell House?
Hell House. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly what it is. And yeah, they just show you the things that they kind of talk about in this movie.
But
Yeah.
was it
I did
like-
not go to I have not been
Oh,
to one.
See,
But
that's what I was gonna. Never mind then. You wouldn't know.
yeah, my friend went. He
Our friend went.
Yeah,
Okay.
like you walk in and there's like a bunch of fetuses hanging from the ceiling and stuff.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's messed
That's
up.
even worse than a horror.
It's
film.
way worse.
Yeah,
But
in my head, it was either a footage, which is weird.
no.
Then like some guy playing like there's a dead body, and then like a guy is like in a bloody doctor's suit, and then just pulls out a baby. But
I
they're
mean-
hanging on the wall.
It's just the whole point of it. Instead of like, I'm Jason, I'm going to get you. It's just like everything in it has to be,
Real world.
Christian themed or whatever.
They really did. What is it called? Like
Bait and switch.
Yeah, it's definitely. Like I heard a little bit of a commercial for it, like on a podcast, like on the radio.
Right.
From what I gathered, it takes clips from it that are like, he's trying to say he's crazy, so he doesn't get executed. We need you to decide. And then it's like, so who are you? I'm Nefarious. It's like, I'm a demon. And then he's all, I don't know whether to believe him or not. And I was thinking, this is that Primal Fear movie, which is like a movie where there's a person that's going to be executed or something, where he has what they called multiple personality disorder before.
Right.
Richard Gere has to decide if he's lying or not. And I was like, okay, so that's this movie. It's been done before. But you do notice at some point where you're like, this is a little off. The acting is a little strange. It's. I did not like that actor. I know that you said that his demon mode was pretty good, but it was really annoying to me.
Yeah. It's shout out to Sean Patrick Flannery. He plays the demon guy, and he does this like, "Hey, I'm a demon guy, and
He's like
I'm
all
gonna get
twitching
you,
and
and all you
blinking weird.
humans and your things." And then he's like,
Licking his mouth.
"Let me talk to the other guy inside." And he's like, "Oh, where am I? I'm so scared right now. I don't
want a milkshake.
When he plays the other guy, it's not good. I thought he was a passable demon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean-
I liked his demon
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
because-
2 for Team Demon.
because like I don't know. I've talked to a lot of people on the streets
I was hoping you would say demons.
and I'm
Sure
sure
they
they're all
have some.
fucking there's some demon in them, and they all kind of talk like that.
Right.
Not all. That's mean to say. 80% is about all of them talk like that.
Yeah, he definitely is more like a may have done too many drugs depiction than
Right.
what you might think of as a demon. But I did also think, well, we usually see demons and devil affiliates kind of being really cool and suave, but there probably are just like really annoying. Anything you can think of that's bad, right? So
Right.
they're probably really irritating, and you just don't want to be around them because they're just annoying and
pompous.
gross.
I mean, he was annoying.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. He did a good job. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, get me the fuck out of here. He's
Yeah.
just a fucking, he's
I know.
annoying.
Kill him. I hate
Yeah,
this
I don't
guy.
care. Sign off. He's annoying.
Filmed at an actual jail, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And which is funny because like for a lot of the movie you're just in one room, and so it was kind of like,
Yeah.
they didn't get.
Let's be more clear and say filmed at like 3 rooms of a jail.
It's a
Yeah,
COVID movie.
For a lot of it, it's like in one place, and you kind of think the whole movie is going to take place in one place.
Yeah, which
but-
I would have also a comparison. My dinner with Andre, but Andre's a demon.
Yeah.
How great would that? I was hoping they would commit, and it would just be him interrogating a demon about demon lore the whole time.
Yeah.
But eventually he gets executed, and then he's on the Glenn Beck show. So there's a few different locations, a lot of dialogue. Some of the most dialogue
a lot.
one of the most dialogue heavy movies I'll probably see this year.
Well, again, because there's just 2 guys in one room like the whole time.
The demon has to say everything he likes about America, which actually means that it's bad.
Yeah.
Because he says it's good, but because it's bad.
Yeah. The execution scene, I will say, is pretty extreme.
Yeah.
It's pretty long,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. So that was kind of a mixed message, I guess, of like what's good and what's bad. I don't know that it would really appeal to super hardcore Christian types.
Right.
Because there's some stuff in there that's kind of like, I don't know if they would agree with that.
It feels a little blasphemous to talk about like
Oh yeah,
demon possession and like
that's true, and especially in like Catholicism, it's like yeah, sure, but yeah,
Right.
like that's kind of a weird thing to talk about. And there is also for sure parts where he's just saying bad things about Jesus and stuff,
right.
which also feels a little blasphemous if you're gonna be
But
like,
he's a demon. He's supposed to
yeah,
be.
but he's
Yeah, he's
making
fine.
good points about, you know what I mean? It's like, whoa, you're telling people to think about this? That's
Did
weird.
name by name, he called him the Carpenter.
Yeah.
If you recall.
Until the carpenter came around.
Yeah.
And your book that you will make, that's actually my book, will be bigger than the book from the carpenter.
Yeah, he won't say it's in the Bible either. So yeah, maybe they skirted it they're like, I didn't say anything about him. It's just
That's
some
100%,
other guy,
yeah.
maybe.
Oh yeah, shocker that the people that have no problem marketing something like a 90s thriller or horror movie, like shocker that they don't have scruples. You know what I mean? Like I know that we can make Jesus movies sound kind of funny, but I'm having a hard time joining it just because like if
You're having a good time?
no.
Oh,
I'm
you're
gonna put it this way.
scared of
I'll
demons.
be- all right, look, no.
Scared.
Listen.
That's crazy.
The creators behind this thing are anti-trans, anti-homosexual, and I think that we're potentially on the cusp of some more bait and switch Christian propaganda finding its way into theaters. If you go on Letterboxd and you look at all the half-star reviews for this movie, which a lot of people paid to see this movie, everybody's like, wow, I can't believe I fell for this. So I have a hard time joking about this movie.
I mean, I guess as like an exploitation enthusiast and a fan
Yeah.
of just independent movies and just weird
Indep-
voices. These are wild. Like from God's Not Dead on, like
Yeah.
the Jesus movies are wildly successful independent films, and you could say it's because they have a built-in audience or otherwise. But it's still like, in a weird way, it's everyone wants to complain about all these Marvel movies, all these franchise movies, all these remakes, like all these sequels. It's like, you want to see some independent cinema. Let me tell you. And like, yes, these are terrible people behind this.
Awful.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably true for
Yeah.
a lot of movies we see. They just aren't saying it with their chest.
Yeah, they don't want to mess with the money.
Right. I guess if I were to only pursue films that I agreed with politically, I don't know that I could watch almost any
This
movie.
is pretty overt, though. Like,
There's no clean money.
I'm going to start looking at the movies we watch, and I'm opting out.
I'll let me know which ones are, and I will go see them. 'Cause
Exactly. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
excited.
yeah.
I just like the weirdo factor,
Yeah.
especially in a movie like this that is not at all a typical Jesus movie. I just like to see like weird fucking takes handled in an oddball way.
Yeah.
I'll watch their weird bullshit out of morbid fascination. I
Of
can't
course.
pull myself away from it. So to jump from real world problems to are we, for Nefarious, are we going to sentence the demon to be electrocuted on an electric chair, or are we going to let the demon free? I don't know. I think this stuff is interesting to see. I think it's fucking weird outsider stuff. If you like Jack Chick tracts, if you like strange films, this is one of the weirdest movies I'll see all year. I think this one, I was telling Dylan about this. I think this one and The Magic Flute, the YA adaptation of the Mozart opera, are the two. Just again, you can make like intentionally weird art house movies. They're not going to be nearly as weird as something like this. And for that, I'll recommend it, but with little devil horns on the recommendation. Justine,
I like the representation
of course.
of the demons,
Go on.
Yeah.
but it is not a good movie. Watch Primal Fear if you're interested in a movie about a guy that needs to be exonerated because of his other personality. The movie almost seemed like it could have been good enough, but ultimately is a waste of time.
Yeah, I'll say up until the part where, including the line about how by the time you leave here, you'll have committed 3 murders. I was like, okay, this is competent. Like it was definitely competent. But then like from there, it just unfurls into, just like the agenda and the propaganda. I've made my feelings known on this. So I'll just like say, just watch the the Devil Conspiracy. It's a far more entertaining movie if you want like some sort of movie based in religion or involving religious characters. That's probably the way to go.
If you're somehow a conservative listener of the show, go ahead. If you're not, it's up to you. But like, I don't know. It's funny. It was legit. Like, I found it funny. I didn't even realize it was faith-based.
Yeah.
But
Wait, at what point did you realize it was faith-based? After?
well, when Glenn Beck showed up, like
Okay.
literally at the very end, when he showed up, I went, "Oh, this is crazy." Oh.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize it was Glenn Beck until they really said it. So I was like, "Oh shit," because I thought it was just some stupid like possession movie the entire time. But other than that, I don't know. I'm wearing a Slayer shirt right now, and so I would just say whatever you think I would lean on, go ahead and watch it.
The Pope's Exorcist is a secular demon movie. I genuinely really like having these movies back to back because it's like the focus and interest from like a secular film versus a faith-based film on essentially the same premise of demon possession. It's like a strange synchronicity. But this is a film directed by Julius Avery, stars Russell Crowe, the kid he's the Linda Blair of the movie, Peter DeSouza Fahey, and who else is in this movie, Brent?
Alex Esso.
They play a family that moves to Spain to renovate, and well, here's the thing. They're at the Exorcist movie. They're at the haunted house movie. They're at the combination Exorcist movie, haunted house movie, because they're on the haunted house grounds. The little kid gets possessed by a demon, and they have to get this high level. The demon requests this very specific high level priest in the Vatican who's getting chastised for still doing exorcisms. And he's like, "Look, you got to do some exorcism stuff. Sorry, guys, that's how it is."
Sometimes there's demons.
Yeah. And they're like, "No, we don't like this guy." But then, boom, demon specifically requesting this guy. So he's like, "Well, sorry, I got to go fight a demon." And then it's an exorcism movie. It's a kid who's tied to a bed, and he's got a demon in him, and he's yelling stuff at people.
He has a growly voice. He says rude things.
Their renovating is on top of what's it called? It's an abbey. There's a well. It goes to part of the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah.
Oh, it's messed up. They get into some crazy lore. They say that the original demon, Asmodeus, he was chilling down in the well, and he possessed the original exorcist that tried to get him out, and that exorcist infiltrated the church and has been influencing Catholic like policy since the fucking Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, like it's the demon who started the Spanish Inquisition.
Nuts.
It's pretty cool. Pretty crazy, because it's like, how do you justify something like that? It's like, well, it wasn't them.
Yeah.
It was a demon.
Yeah. And so then it's exercising time, baby.
So basically they exorcised the demon and locked him inside of something underneath this abbey. But because they were doing this renovation, they cracked open the jar or whatever.
Demon gets out,
possesses the kid, and then the combination
haunted house
exorcism movie. Then there's like infestation stuff going on in the house, and the other people in the family, the mom and the sister, have crazy experiences inside of the house.
Yeah, I really like this movie. I thought that other than maybe Megan, this is the best horror movie I've seen this year. And I guess hasn't really been a lot of horror movies, but still nice to see a horror movie with blood and nastiness. That's the other kind of weird thing is like, I feel like the exorcism genre was sort of established in the 70s where things were a lot more grimy and yucky. And I was like, can you really you got to get grimy. You have to have them say really rude, nasty things, but it's so, culturally off brand to have like, that's why The Exorcist is still a powerful film, because it's still like, oh God, they're having this little girl say these things. Mm-hmm. But they get pretty dirty, man. They get pretty grimy. It's pretty yucky.
That little boy does a really good job.
Incredible casting.
Yeah.
Like that, his look, I haven't really seen a human being that looks like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And it translates well to being possessed. I'll just say that. Colin, you had the unique experience, at least from me, of you didn't realize that was Russell Crowe until the very end.
Yeah, he's a big old boy now.
Yeah, so I was like, in a way, I'm kind of jealous because I would
Yeah.
to watch that movie not knowing who that was.
Yeah. And he did a great job in it. He's an exorcist, but he's like cracking jokes and he's kind of like lighthearted about things.
He's drinking.
He's the cool priest.
Yeah.
The rebel priest. That's what he is.
Yeah. And all the imagery was cool. Fucking demons are cool. Like, I mean, I hate to say it. Shit was metal as fuck. Like, it was just very. There was a Baphomet, and that imagery if that was sealed in the Dark Ages, that would not be. I mean, I don't know. They have like the classic Satan pentagram, and that's definitely not like Spanish Inquisition era imagery or anything. But it's just like whatever. I want to see a crazy ass pentagram glow up on fire and have demons come out, and they're haunting all the exorcists with chicks throwing themselves off of buildings and stuff. Baphomet, metal as fuck. Kids saying bad things.
Oh, and there was of course,
Russell
it's an
Crowe.
Exorcist movie, so there are things you expect in an exorcism movie, including a girl that gets possessed and then gets all contortion-y with her body, and climbs up the wall,
crawl.
and then, crawls on the ceiling. Check.
They tick all the boxes.
There's a crawling.
Yeah.
There's wells. There's skulls.
Yeah, the third demon well
Right.
we've come across this year.
This one didn't have a guy going around.
Yeah.
it.
I mean, obviously, devil conspiracy wins. But, this is a different kind of tone. You got demons, you got to have a well. Simple rules, people.
Yeah.
2023 is the year of the well. I keep saying that, and no one's listening to me.
Well, it was a good year.
Oh yeah, and then there's a priest guy, not Russell Crowe, but like his
A Spanish guy.
yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
Everyone was fine. Very small cast, but cool.
It's nice to see a movie kind of stick to its genre so closely. Like,
Very closely.
yeah, it's not really trying to reinvent the wheel. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, you guys like exorcism movies? This is one of those.
Here's another one. We won't disappoint you if you like exorcism movies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I guess you're used to seeing like retro 80s slashers where it's like a bunch of kids in the woods and it's a little bit wink at you,
Yeah.
I don't think this movie feels very winky.
Yeah, it was earnest.
I don't
right?
yeah, I think it's just sincerely trying to show a spooky old story like this. But it still also has that like classic genre feel. So I don't know. I really appreciated the straightforwardness of it and the bleakness of it, the darkness of it, the griminess of it. Good job, movie.
Yeah. It felt like very Poltergeist too.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think even if you're not super into like exorcism movies,
They give you the haunted house.
Poltergeist
I'm at the
factor is
haunted house.
Yeah.
I'm at the exorcism. I'm at the combination haunted house and exorcism.
Yeah.
good. Good job. Good blend.
Yeah. So overall, the Pope's exorcist. Is it worth consecrating these grounds? Or are we just going to demolish the house?
The Abbey.
Yeah. I'll say consecrate. I think this is if you like these kind of movies, this is one of these kind of movies. I don't necessarily know that I like include exorcism movies in my like, ooh, I love a good exorcism movie. I'm kind of exorcism agnostic. Obviously, like The Exorcist is a GOAT. I can't really think of a whole lot of others, probably like most people, but apparently I like these kind of movies, or maybe this one just does such a good job of being one of these kind of movies, and just from all of the acting and all the effects and everything just works for me. I liked it. I enjoyed the movie. I will say consecrate these grounds. They are holy.
Reconsecrate that Abbey. And then live in it. I think renovating old churches and schools are really cool to live in. But I think that this movie actually was an interesting exorcism movie. I've seen a lot of them, and they blur together. But this had the poltergeist aspect of it, which I think really makes it stand apart. So yeah, go see it, or wait till it's streaming. Realistically,
Yeah, I'll defer to Justine on the exorcism movie delineations. For me, they definitely all blur together. And I don't know if I've ever really enjoyed exorcist movies, but This one, yeah, I did like the extra wrinkles. It's obviously nice seeing your friend 80 feet tall on a goddamn silver screen. That's always nice. And there was some cool little allusions to her original role in Starry Eyes, where like there was contortions in beds and stuff, and that was a nice little touch. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but noticed it. It was cool. If you are an Exorcist movie fan, check it out. If not, it's it's got a couple wrinkles, but it might not go all the way for you.
Do you like The Exorcist?
Sure, man.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's like even when I watched it when I was young, I was like, I think people drummed it up a little too much for me. So when I actually saw it, I was like, oh, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
I was sort of neutral on The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Until recently.
You recently.
And when I recently rewatched it, I was like, this is great.
Tell
I love this movie now.
I owe it to you. I owe it to you to rewatch it because I haven't seen it since I was really young.
Yeah, it's like the I don't know, all the techniques in the film are very apparent to me now. Like I watch it in terms of like, why did this scare people so much? And when I see it now, I'm like, oh yeah, this is very eerie. It has some of that like Shining quality to it, where it's like this continuity wouldn't make sense, and thus it has a subconscious level of eeriness where you're like, something's amiss here, but nothing really is happening. It's just like, I don't know. The way it's done is unsettling. But yeah, I just like that movie as a movie. It's not scary.
What's funny is I've taken people to the Exorcist steps in Georgetown and DC more than I have seen Exorcist movies. I always think that people are gonna be fat. I'm like, look, it's the steps, and more often than not, people are like, "Yo, that's cool," but yeah, sometimes it doesn't quite work out that way.
When I was deep in like 70s exploitation stuff, I watched a lot of Exorcist knockoffs.
Sure.
Bad.
Yeah.
Usually bad. Very bad.
I think you were subconsciously spooked because of the secret Pazuzus.
Of course, yeah, stuff like that is. I love those Pazuzus. Yeah. And how often do you get to say secret Pazuzus?
That's the first time I've heard that in my life.
I know, but they're out there.
Yeah.
Paint, written and directed by Britt McAdams. I tried to see what else the person did. 10 episodes of Tosh.0.
Whoa.
Directed.
Dude,
how the hell do you direct Tosh.0?
Well, there's scenes outside of the studio.
Okay.
But then you can't direct the YouTube vids that you grab.
Right.
But whenever. You know what I'm saying? There's bits that happen.
I just love to see Tosh.0 in someone's credits.
That's great. 10 episodes is a lot.
So let me think how to describe it. So this is a comedy film. Okay. Let's clear the air. Everyone I have talked to about this movie who has seen the poster or anything assumes, as I did, that this is a Bob Ross biopic. It is absolutely not.
No.
It is a complete work of fiction. It is said it takes place in the current year, despite the fact that the character Owen Wilson is dressed exactly like Bob Ross and has those kind of like rural 70s mellow vibes and everything.
And everything he does is like 70s.
Right. And I think that's played as a gag, like as a comedy thing. Like it's funny just because of that. But it's also weird to me because I think I just hang out with a lot of people who I see a lot of people who are just dressed like they're from the 70s or try to dress in that style because it's like, cool or whatever. So it's like not crazy to me to see a guy with an afro and like a suede leather vest. Yeah. I think this a lot of this movie, the tone of the comedy feels like, Dylan, you brought up Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of humor where it's like, I've got a mustache. Isn't that funny? They kind of rely on that. So hence, I think they are presenting a world in which dressing like Bob Ross and hosting a painting show on PBS is like funny in and of itself. His name is Carl Nargle. Admittedly, a funny word to say. But that's when I say it's a comedy, that's the kind of comedy we're working with. And it is very much so like the plot of Anchorman, to the point where I don't know, like you have Carl Nargle, Owen Wilson. He is like the Bob Ross of PBS in Vermont. Oh, they don't say the name Bob Ross in the whole movie, do they?
Oh.
So it's not even like he's a Bob Ross ripoff. He just has hosted this
Pocket
Dimension where this guy looks like Bob Ross and does a painting show on PBS and has been going for years. And he's beloved in the community. And they bring in Ambrosia is the character's name, played by a Sierra Renee, and she is like the competition. And I guess who was the girl in Anchorman? not Alicia Silverstone.
Christina Applegate.
Christina fucking Applegate. She's the Christina Applegate of the movie. She shows up and then she's like the hot new person on the block, and Carl Nargle, Owen Wilson, is intimidated by her. And the thing is, like Anchorman, you know, obviously like they start going at it with each other, and that's kind of where the humor goes, but they don't really fight each other or try to sabotage each other or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just a lot of passive aggression mostly.
Yeah. And you know, it's just the story of what happens to this character as he goes along with it, and he wants to have his art in the local museum.
Yeah, he wanted at some point to be considered like a quote unquote real artist.
Yeah.
But they were like, you never paint anything like from the heart.
Right.
How many times can you paint the same scenery? And that's like the whole deal is he only paints this one mountain, which is like sexualized. Like this whole thing is like, oh, he has this like animal magnetism, and all the girls in the office that work there are like falling over him, and but it's like he doesn't. I don't know. It's
very
so
strange.
Weird. They're all in love with him, but he's not like into them like that. But they still like do everything for him, and they're obsessed. Long ago was the last time that he was painting from the heart, and now he's just painting all this boring stuff. Which is why when Ambrosia comes in, they're like, "Oh, look at this person. She's really creative." So his deal is that he has this ex-girlfriend
who's like she's like a higher up at the PBS.
She works at the same place that he does, and but they broke up, and there's this weird like this movie is really confusing. I don't know what the main plot is, because there's the relationship that they had, and he realizes that the last time he was really painting from the heart was when he was with her, and that's his arc. Like he needs to reconnect with something that he actually feels instead of drawing or painting this mountain over and over. I don't know what the message is.
I was about to ask, is there a point to the movie?
True love always wins.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll fast forward for you. He ends up back with his ex, and he fakes his death accidentally. He's presumed dead.
Wait, accidentally?
Yeah.
Like
he's presumed dead.
He's presumed dead,
Okay.
and thus his paintings become valuable unless they get hung in the museum. And and then he just hangs out in the woods with his ex, who at one point gets romanced by that Ambrosia girl.
Yeah, they have a fling.
Yeah, and so it's just, I don't know. Again, I feel like this is a comedy that's kind of like afraid to make jokes.
I was legitimately confused, at least the first half, because I thought it was a Bob Ross thing, and then that they were just using somebody else's name. But then it was like, wait, this is too like wacky. This doesn't seem like it's a biographically even sound. And then I was like, is this supposed to be a comedy? I didn't know. Is it a biopic? Maybe not. Is it a comedy? Unsure. I was like, is it in the 70s? No. He just had like an 8-track, I don't know if he did, but like a cassette or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're using these like giant, like VCRs and stuff to review footage. But no, somebody had a cell phone.
Right.
It's super confusing. And they don't help you out.
It sounds like you guys aren't able to discern why there's so many allusions to Bob Ross and the imagery and the marketing and everything.
Well, I don't think it's that they weren't. It's not a biopic at all.
Not at all.
I don't think they're really trying to say anything about Bob Ross.
It's just that who else do you know?
Who has an afro and paints landscapes.
So, and it sort of seems like they're just kind of, without saying his name, describe Bob Ross. So they're going to give you a biopic, just kind of telling you about Bob Ross's life.
Yeah, but none of the events line up. And so it's just not has nothing, it's as if Bob Ross has never existed.
Right. It just takes
Pocket dimension.
The
Secret
concept,
Pazuzus.
concept of a person who paints on TV.
Yeah.
That's it. Run with that.
And I think that when you say confusing, I think you're not confused as to like the events in the film or like who the characters are or anything like that.
No.
It's just like, why this movie?
What is this movie? Why this movie?
Yeah,
Who do you guys think it's for?
content.
Literally no one.
It's for content.
Yes, it is for filling up.
Good answer.
Like they needed to make a certain amount of films, or some streaming service. It's an IFC movie. I thought it was an Apple
Really?
movie. Yeah, it's an
That's
IFC
surprising.
Productions, but I swear it was an Apple movie, which seems very in keeping with Apple movie
Yeah,
stuff.
it did feel like a streaming movie.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Or
Maybe this was one of the mystery movies.
it literally
It
was.
was.
It was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it's not tied
I was
to-
being an asshole, but
Right.
okay.
But it
Yeah.
wasn't tied to Apple or anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm from an older generation, and in my day,
Yes.
if you were to be funny, you have to be mean and Anchorman and that ancient kind of humor. It doesn't really fly anymore, or especially if you don't have like the comedic talent or the money to buy real comedy talent to pull off humor like that. It's really seemed like a comedy that was trying not to offend anyone, and thus
It seemed like a it didn't seem like a comedy. That's the problem.
yeah,
Like,
because of the lack of jokes.
yeah,
though.
it's like there's no jokes, and then there's stuff that it's like, I guess that's supposed to be funny there. Like if they had a laugh track, you would be better. Like you'd be able to follow the
Right.
the tone of the movie better. So like, what is supposed to be funny? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like the Ambrosia girl ends up in a relationship with one of the other office ladies. Like, is that funny? Is it supposed to be funny? Because they're like, oh, didn't see that coming.
Right.
Is that funny, or did you genuinely just not see that coming? I cannot tell.
Yeah, I guess it's like if you think like vans having shag carpeting in them,
It's funny.
then this is a very funny movie.
Yeah.
But if you expect a little more from that, then it's not. Yeah, again, it's Anchorman without jokes,
Yeah.
and it's about as exciting. Hey,
Yeah, that sounds rough.
it's as exciting as watching paint dry.
Oh.
Ooh,
it's not that bad.
Got him.
It's like if you're a Napoleon Dynamite fan, it is fucked that they just trick everyone about the Bob Ross thing. Because when I was buying the ticket, the guy was like, "Oh, is this movie about that guy?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I have zero idea, I guess." And they're like, "Okay, I haven't watched it yet." And I walked in. It's not about Bob Ross. I'm trying to remember when exactly I figured out, oh, this has nothing to do with Bob Ross.
I don't know either.
I think it's when the lady shows up to do paintings, and I was like, I don't remember this in his history, but
Yeah.
okay. And then like she paints that fucking UFO.
Bleeding UFO.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie, so I still think it's about Bob Ross.
No, it has nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
I assume none of that, other than the painting show, like is related to Bob Ross
Yeah.
and his look.
There's like a part a little bit early on when you're still kind of like, is this about Bob Ross? When like I'm saying, like all those ladies are throwing themselves at him. And
Right.
I'm like, is that how it was for Bob Ross? Are we gonna learn some like CD like behind the scenes about Bob Ross? But then and then you're like, oh, this isn't about him.
It's not even like it's just not a biopic at all.
No,
It's-
not at all. It's total fiction.
Paint. Are we hanging it on the museum or are we throwing it in the garbage? I'm going to toss this one in the dumpster. I really did not like this movie. It was a true waste of time. It was a boring film, and I didn't like it.
I noticed that you didn't send me like the devil emoji saying, "Hey, this was a great."
Well, no, it's not at all. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm like Nefarious. I'd be like, yeah, go watch this movie, dude.
Right.
Like, it's funny.
Yeah, this one you're like, I can't even joke about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a worse watching experience than an unfunny comedy. There's no real way to spin that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a level where it gets so bad that it's. We actually, Dylan, when we were watching we went on like our real dog shit parody movie, Bender from the 2000s.
Yes.
That's pretty dark, man. Like you have to be real. You have to have like a real PhD in irony to appreciate like epic movie as like, a cringe fest or whatever. It's hard.
But at least you can be like, this is an era of this kind
Right.
of comedy.
You can look back at it and say,
historically at least, and
Yes.
be like, oh, that's funny.
this is the lowest that this genre, like, in the same genre as Airplane and, beloved films, this is the absolute nadir of that kind of film. So
Yeah.
there's some appeal there, but a movie like this is just, it's so drab. Did not like it. Justine, what did you think?
Throw it in the trash. It has Stephen Root, and he also takes a painting out of the trash. But he's, kind of the best part of the movie that
Stephen
he's
Root's a
in it.
goddamn legend. I'm sorry to leave that out. You're 100% right.
But even he can't help this movie.
No.
It's not good. It's not even like bad. It's just disappointing and not good.
I'll hang it in the museum. As a art connoisseur myself, I really actually did appreciate the repaintings of the same mountain and in different seasons, and I enjoyed it. It was a fun time. If you're a Napoleon Dynamite enjoyer or like an MTV Films like lover as I am, you probably like this movie. I also like IFC films, so go ahead and watch this movie.
Why are there so many movies this week? Mafia Mamma. Brent, tell them about Mafia Mamma. This is so late in this. How we watched this many movies?
Ow?
Yeah, in 1 week. All new, first runs.
All you have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to you.
Mafia Mamma is technically a movie. It is directed by Catherine Hardwicke, who you might know from Twilight and 13. Sounds like a competent person. In this, not so sure. We've got Toni Collette. Put you in a weird spot right away because it's trying to get you. The premise is that Toni Collette is a 40-year-old woman, which she is not by a long shot. And for some reason, every man in this movie wants to fuck her, like aggressively. Makes no goddamn sense in any capacity. Her grandfather is a mob boss in Italy. Her name is Kristen in the movie, is an American Italian. So I don't know I don't know if her father immigrated or how that worked. But anyways, like she's very suburban. She's married to this guy. It seems a little young, but very early on she catches him fucking the guidance counselor, and that just is an easy device so that when the grandfather dies, she's able to go over to Italy to tie up his affairs and be informed that she is now the head of this crime family. It's odd. She claims that she has always wanted to go to Italy. She loves Italian culture, and yet they don't reveal why she never went to Italy or why she's not connected to her grandfather. Like it falls apart very, very quickly.
It's King Ralph meets how Stella got her groove back. Go.
Yeah, pretty much. It tries. Yeah, it tries to be funny, but that also falls apart very quickly. There were 7 other people in the theater when I walked in, and by the end, it was just me and this very old man in the corner, who I think is just a very big Toni Collette fan. Unlike some of the movies we've seen this week, the writing is not tight on this one. I wrote down some examples. For instance, this is an actual exchange. Monica Bellucci plays like the consigliere to the grandfather and is trying to bring Toni Collette's character up to speed in terms of what it's like to be a mob boss. Monica Bellucci says, well, moving forward, we need somebody who is empathetic. At which point Toni Collette cuts her off and goes, "Did you just call me pathetic?" That is one of the big comedy beats of the movie. And then there is a point where Toni Collette's character goes out with a rival mob boss. His line to her over dinner is, "Do you like limoncello?" And she says, "I'm more of a cherry jello kind of woman." That is like the 2 best jokes in this movie, which is constantly trying to lob jokes at you. Normally, when I'm watching a movie with Monica Bellucci in it, I am at least captivated by her presence in the film. This one, she could not save it. It's a rough movie. Oh, and another line that Toni Collette had in this: "I just want to eat, pray, fuck." That is an actual line in the movie.
Is this like an R-rated comedy or?
I don't know what rating it is.
Okay.
In a way, I am glad that you 3 didn't have to see it, given what you just said about Paint. It rang true to me. Like I was like, where are the jokes?
Right.
It's tired. It's weird. There's just fundamental things that I don't think this director, I forget her name, Catherine Hardwicke, it's really odd. Like, okay, so when the husband is banging out the guidance counselor, there's like this. Toni Collette is walking down the stairs and she's on the phone with like the people from Italy. She's like, yeah, my husband's in a band, so it's really loud downstairs. And it's like this full stereo sound. And she gets down and you're like, oh, he's not rehearsing with his band. This is like coming out of a stereo. No, it's coming out of a Marshall combo amp.
Oh, okay.
And she unplugs the amp. So this like giant, like massive stereo sound that you're getting is coming out of a tiny,
and this is all to mask the
it's
illicit affair he's having in the house while his wife is there. Okay.
It's messy. There's lots of churlish humor. Like for some reason, the rival mob boss has poison stuck up his ass that he pulls out to try to poison Toni Collette.
Gotcha.
He could have put it in any pocket.
He didn't need to smuggle it like that.
There's fart sounds,
right?
But it's just not funny at all.
Yeah.
So in short, I don't think many people are going to go see this. I don't think many people are going to stream this. It's technically a movie. It exists, and like I said, I'm glad I took one for the team.
Why they keep making movies like this? I'm so weirded out when you see a movie where it's like, no, this is for no one. You know,
it's odd because Toni Collette is, for some people, a beloved actress. People like her serious roles. And I think maybe if you want to see her have fun,
right,
maybe watch this. But I don't know. It's a swing and a miss. It's fitting that this comes right after your Paint review.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Between these two movies, it's just like, why? Like, it's just weird to see this stuff still come out in theaters too. You know, in the multiplex.
I couldn't figure out who the audience is for it at all.
Right. Yeah, because it seems a little too crude to be like a sweet movie for
it's not
old
sweet.
Folks.
Yeah.
You know,
kind of more like Wine Moms.
There was moments where I thought that's what they were going for, but even then, it was a little too gross for the Wine Moms. You know, because like I said, you know, like the guy's pulling poison out of his ass and it's making fart noises. I think they would not like it. They might like the eat, pray, fuck thing. They might like the hot guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we watched Magic Mike. That's you watch it and you're like, okay, this is for that crowd. It's not made with me in mind, but it's still like you can find enjoyment in it because it's like
Magic Mike.
Someone's really liking this, and it doesn't hurt that there's like other people in the audience liking it. But
yeah, if you're putting Mama or Mafia Mamma up against Magic Mike, I mean, it's night and day. I mean, you can understand why Magic Mike works and this one doesn't.
All you have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to you.
Dylan, you watched Sweetwater? Tell the people about Sweetwater, Dylan. You're the only person of us who's seen Sweetwater.
It seems like I'm the only person in North County that saw it.
We're bogged down with films. We got to split them up somehow.
Sweetwater is a biopic about Nat Sweetwater Clifton. He was a Harlem trotter before they were global. And this is when the NBA was still only white players. And it's about how he and two other African-American players at that time joined the NBA. But it's mostly about Sweetwater and his thing. It was good. I kind of got nervous because I thought I was watching a Christian movie by myself.
Oh, you thought they'd spring this one on you too?
Yeah, because there's scenes where he would flash back and there's like a grayscale. It's not black and white, but it's more gray and blue. And I was like, oh no. But then no religion ties, so that's cool.
Yeah,
it's mostly about
basketball.
It's mostly about racism, I suppose. And
it's a horrible fucking thing to have to face. You know, integrating
of course,
sports league. I mean.
Yeah, and it was just about how no one wanted them in the league, and showed a lot of behind the scenes with the I guess the owner of the NBA and the other team owners, and how they're like half the team owners was like, no, let's let them in. The other half's like, no, we're not letting them in. And it was a weird time because I wasn't expecting hard R's, but they didn't throw it a lot, but it was said, especially by what's his name? Was Mr. Brightside?
Oh, he is the guy who plays the bad guy in the Mr. Brightside video.
Something Roberts.
How do you guys know this guy's name?
Yeah, because he's Julia Roberts' brother.
Yeah.
Eric Roberts. Yeah, Eric Roberts. I was trying to say not Anderson.
Giving him a healthy dose of period correct racism.
Yeah, he just says, "What are you doing?" And then like it cuts to him, cuts to Sweetwater, and you just hear him say it. So you're like, you don't actually see the guy say it, so it's kind of weird.
Oh, it's off screen.
Yeah, off screen. It shows him saying, "What are you doing?" and then cuts to Sweetwater, and then says it.
Like,
right. It's such a. I mean, it's not an easy task, I think, to portray the racism of its time. It's a no-win situation because either you have a lot of horrible slurs and just things that you really hate to see as a viewer, or you water the story down and make it pretend like that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So you have to be really skilled to pull it off. Do you think that this was like respectful in nature, or like no,
because it wasn't like
impact?
It wasn't like heavy on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like every now and then they'll say it. You know, I was like, oh, because you forget. The Knicks coach is played by.
Is that Jeremy Piven?
Yeah, the Knicks coach is played by Jeremy Piven, and I was like, "Oh, this is fucking weird." And he's in it like a lot. Him, Dr. Gordon from Saw is also like the owner of the Knicks.
Okay,
Carrie Ellis.
Carrie Ellis.
Elwes.
Yeah. So you just see a lot of them like kind of bickering with Kevin Pollock, who is I think the short guy from Usual Suspects.
Yeah, it is.
And so it's just like while Sweetwater's kind of like in the background, kind of listening to all of this happening.
Holy
shit!
Like,
I'll give you $12,000. Fuck you. This is the guy from Usual Suspects is the coach or the coach / owner, I guess, of the Trotters. Okay. He's like, fuck you. I'm not for that much. And like, there's just a lot of bickering, you know. Yeah, overall, though, I will say, if you want to learn about history, and if you're, I don't know, this is not really for a basketball fan. I'm really happy they showed like. They didn't give us like over the top muscular people to reenact basketball playing.
Right.
They gave us like literal like average Joe body types and like
which is what it was like back then.
Yeah, it was like it looked like a 40-year-old was on was like in the team of the Knicks.
Right.
And I was like, oh God, this sucks. And like they're all like when they showed the guys like doing free throws. They're all doing underhand.
Yeah.
And then Sweetwater's like regular.
Yep.
So it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's just funny. It's like, I'm glad this happened, I guess, because basketball would be fucking boring.
You know what's trippy is like when you think about, the major sports and who broke the color line, you only know Jackie Robinson, right?
Yeah. By name, yeah. That's why you gotta watch this.
They do say he's going to be the Jackie Robinson of basketball.
There you go.
It is sad because they show like real footage of him, and then like they're like after 8 seasons he just moved to Chicago to become a taxi driver,
right?
And then like they show footage of him being a taxi driver and like interviewing him, like, oh God. Then while that's happening, the fucking theater people started walking in and like with trash cans, and mind you, I'm the only person in the theater, like empty-handed. I didn't eat, I didn't buy anything. I just was there by myself, and I was like, it's clean.
So the parts where like they're giving you actual history, they're just like, yep, get out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. It's time to clean the theater.
Stop learning, Dylan.
Yeah, I'm like, damn it. There is a funny. It's super funny because there's a scene where there's like the coach of the Trotters is like talking to Dr. Gordon, and he was like, I have an idea. If someone shoots past the norm, maybe make it more than a 2-point, maybe a 3-point. And I was like,
boom.
I was like, God, this is great. Great. Is this history? Did the guy from the Harlem Trotters like make that rule, like make that up because they do it later in life.
There we go.
I don't know, but overall, I would sign off and say like let anyone play in the NBA.
Bold.
That is my
Strong.
like review. The negative review, if I had to choose it, would be just let white people play.
Oh my God.
Just let them play.
But you're not saying that.
No, I will not say that.
Okay. All right.
Let anyone, any race play.
Would you call this more entertaining than educational, or more educational than entertaining?
More educating.
Okay.
There's some entertaining parts, but like, I don't know. You would never think about it, but they're like Sweetwater's in the background behind his coach of the Trotters, like paying out the other team, and the other team's making 100 a player, while everyone in the Trotters making 50, and everyone's pissed off because they're like, we're fucking destroying them, and you're only giving us like half their pay every goddamn time. I was like, oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Is it a super bummer or
No.
Okay.
It's only a bummer when they show the only real footage. Well, they show you some of his basketball playing, but the only real footage is him talking is when he's like an old man and he's like driving taxis and he's like, I could play like Michael Jordan, but not right now. I'm like, oh God, this is depressing.
Would you say it's inspiring, or is it just kind of like factual? Like, here's what happened. Okay,
it's more factual.
All right.
I think there is a line that says like, let anyone play. Who cares? If that's an inspiring line for you.
All right. That's 7 movies that collectively we've watched in the theater this week. Dylan,
Yes.
Tell the people what we're watching next.
Unlimited.
Hey everybody, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited. We again have a bunch of movies to see this week. We got Chevalier. You like Battle Violin? Rock would be on the dead. Evil Dead Rise. You guys like horror? Rise or shine. We also got Beau is Afraid. And guess what, buddy? I'm also afraid. And I'm afraid we'll be seeing you next week, everybody. Goodbye.